Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into a really captivating clash, one that had football fans everywhere talking. Saudi Arabia's Al-Hilal, a true giant of Asian football, taking on, well, Europe's Titans, Manchester City.
Yeah, quite the matchup.
So our mission here is to unpack Al-Hilal's performance, their heart, their incredible history, and really how they managed to stand so tall against a team that basically defines world champion right now. We'll look at the match itself, Al-Hilal's legacy, and what this whole encounter might mean for Asian football going forward. So what did this match really signify beyond the pitch?
Well, that's the interesting part, isn't it? This was so much more than just 90 minutes of football. It had this huge symbolic weight for the dynamics of the global game.
Symbolic how?
It wasn't just a friendly, it felt like a real hint, maybe, at shifts in the traditional power structures of the sport. Think about how the global media suddenly framed Asian clubs differently, or how European scouts might start looking at talent outside their usual hunting grounds.
Okay, that symbolic weight, I get that. It's crucial. But to really understand how Al-Hilal made that statement, we need to look at the game itself.
Right, the action on the pitch.
You mentioned City's reputation, Premier League champs, treble winners, Pep Guardiola's tactical, beasts. Facing them is, well, it's no small feat for anyone.
Absolutely not.
So how did Al-Hilal approach it? Under their own coach, Jorge Jesus, who's got his own vision. What did you see unfold when these two clashed?
Yeah, look, City are a juggernaut. We all know that. But Al-Hilal under Jesus, who, let's remember, loves that high press attacking style, that they didn't come into this scared. Not at all.
Confidence then.
You could feel it, palpable confidence. And their strategy seemed incredibly clear. They had a point to prove. Jesus' tactics, that discipline, it allowed them to actually challenge City in midfield at times. They really seemed to believe they could compete, not just, hope.
Okay, so the general approach sounds positive. Let's get into specifics, the nitty-gritty of the performance.
The details, yeah.
Those moments that really showed their tactical plan working, or just, individual players stepping up, what really stood out for you on the field?
Well, right from the start, actually, Al-Hilal's midfield was surprisingly solid, like in those opening minutes.
Really? Against City's midfield?
Yeah. Ruben Neves, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, they were pressing really hard, almost like suffocating City in flashes, and distributing the ball intelligently, too. They weren't just sitting back.
Interesting.
And then, of course, you had Salem al-Dassari, the Saudi hero, right? Just flashes of brilliance from him on that left flank, taking defenders on without fear. I remember one moment he just sort of ghosted past two City players.
Yeah.
It wasn't just skill, it was audacity, real confidence on that stage.
And defensively.
Yeah.
Because containing Holland, Foden, that sounds like mission impossible. But Koulibaly and al-Bulahi, they seem to hold their own.
They absolutely did. That pairing, Koulibaly and al-Bulahi, they held their line incredibly well against City's, relentless attacks.
So how did the overall dynamics play out?
Well, connecting that defense to the bigger picture. Look, City dominated possession, no surprise there. But Al-Hilal didn't just park the bus,
Right, they didn't just absorb pressure.
Exactly. They countered.
Yeah.
And with real purpose. They actually got close on a few occasions, could have maybe changed the scoreline.
So overall impression?
Gritty, passionate, and honestly really promising. Showed a real belief in their disciplined approach. It wasn't just luck.
That grittiness, that passion, it felt like it came from somewhere deeper, didn't it? Not just a one-off effort for a big game.
Absolutely. It speaks to their history.
Right. To really get that resolve, we have to look back. This club, Al-Hilal, founded way back in 1957. It's not new money making a splash overnight. It's, well, it's a symbol of Saudi football excellence. Can you just paint a picture of how decorated they actually are?
Oh, it's staggering, really. Al-Hilal is quite simply the most decorated club in Asia. Full stop.
How many titles are we talking?
We're talking 66 official titles. I mean, think about that. 66.
Wow.
That includes 4 AFC Champions League titles, which is huge in Asian club football. A massive achievement. And just countless Saudi League wins.
So dominant domestically and continentally.
Exactly. It's no surprise their nickname is the Blue Wave. Their success isn't recent, it's sustained. Decades of it. It points to a really deep winning culture.
And the players reflect that evolution too, right? They've had homegrown legends. Yasser Al-Khattani comes to mind.
A true icon for the club, yeah.
But lately, they've brought in these global superstars too. I mean, huge names. Neymar, Mitrovic, Koulibaly we mentioned. adding that world-class layer.
Right. A blend of legacy and modern star power.
So what's the secret then? Is it just the money pouring in recently, or is there something more fundamental to their consistent success?
That's a really important question. And look, the financial investment obviously helps attract that top-tier talent, no doubt. But their success, it's built on way more than that.
Like,
It's rooted in tradition, decades of it. It's rooted in that incredible fan passion. You see the atmosphere at their games. It's electric. And it's rooted in just a consistent commitment to performing at the highest level year after year after year. It's about building a legacy, not just, buying a team for a season or two.
which brings us back to the bigger picture and that statement, performance against City. What does this moment, this match, actually mean for the future of Asian football? You said it wasn't just a friendly, it felt like, yeah, a statement.
It absolutely was a statement. I think this match clearly proves that Asian clubs, or at least the top ones like Al-Hilal, are genuinely narrowing the gap with the European giants.
You really think so? The gap is shrinking.
Visibly shrinking. I mean, you saw moments in that game, sustained moments, where Al-Hilal's tactics, their individual quality, really troubled City, forced them to work hard. It's not just about, one lucky counterattack anymore. It's about competing for stretches of the game.
And what's driving that shift? We see the investments, obviously.
Smart investments, yeah. But it's also player development. Those initiatives are starting to bear real fruit now.
And exposure.
And definitely increasing international exposure for teams like Al-Hilal. Playing in competitions like the Club World Cup, high-profile friendlies, it raises their game, their profile, their experience.
So multiple factors coming together.
Exactly. And maybe the most profound impact, what it does for the next generation.
How so?
Think about it. More and more young Saudi players, young Asian players in general, are watching this and now believing they can compete at the very top level against the best in the world.
That self-belief.
That belief, that feeling that it's possible, that's incredibly powerful. It changes how kids train, what they aspire to. It's going to shape the future of the sport in the region for, well, decades to come, I think.
It really does feel transformative. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's definitely worth reflecting on Al-Hilal's journey, this match in particular. It's a testament to their history, yes, but also maybe a big flashing arrow pointing to the future.
Indeed. And it leaves you with a big question, doesn't it?
Which is?
What does Al-Hilal's rise, shown so clearly in a performance like that against Manchester City, what does it truly mean for those traditional power structures in global football we talked about? How might this reshape where the next generation of superstars comes from? And what kind of new rivalries or maybe even collaborations might we see between these different footballing worlds in the years ahead? Something to think about.